Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. I have a question for each and every one of you, and I want you to put your answer in the comments. What do you think the price of silver is going to be over the next year in 2021? More importantly though, explain why. I could say $50 silver, but if I don't give an explanation on why I think that, then my comment doesn't hold much validity. It doesn't really say anything. I'm going to explain where I think the price of silver is headed over this next year, but it really is a complex question. It's a very complex question with a very complex answer, and that's because of a lot of different reasons. Before we jump into this very controversial, very interesting topic, make sure you're subscribed. I post daily videos every single day, giving you guys the newest, latest information on what's happening in the precious metals markets, and more importantly, what you should do about it. You gotta be subscribed. It's critical. You cannot be one of those people that just blindly invest, just throwing money out and trying to sell whenever. That's actually more like gambling. See, we're investors. We make strategic decisions that will affect our strategy, and that's why you got to be subscribed. Now, when we're talking about silver price forecast or predicting anything, you got to remember something. That the unknown variable is just as important as everything else. A lot of people forget that we cannot predict. We don't have a crystal ball to tell when things are going to happen. Nobody could have predicted that pandemic that happened, last year. So all the price forecasts from 2019 are way off. Now this year we have somewhat of a direction, but I say that very loosely because the unknown variables, especially with things as severe as a global pandemic, not only that, but stimulus, the silver shortage, all of these different scenarios are going to affect things, and we don't know for sure. There is no certainty. It's actually very uncertain, unpredictable, and that's why we see these very unpredictable prices. There's not going to be any type of stable price for silver anytime soon, and that's because the markets are unstable. People are unstable. Got to remember, when I say people, that third one, it's actually something that people don't really think about. The uncertainty of people makes just as big of an impact as any of the other things do. Why? Because people are the ones investing their money. Think about it. Speculation, that S word that I hate, is influenced and is taken over not only precious metals markets, but any other market. Yes, it's heavily involved with Bitcoin since the beginning. That's why Bitcoin has been a drama show, a soap opera since its birth. But precious metals usually, or used to, go more off of supply and demand, right? Because it has intrinsic value. It's a literal metal. So it really wasn't influenced by Twitter tweets sent out from people or a rumor, but now it is. That's the day and age we live in, so we have to adjust and adapt. Now, with that said, we have to incorporate these types of things as well when we're talking about the price of silver. That's why that vaccine news, Pfizer sent out a vaccine, or said they had a vaccine that's 95% effective, and people had this false flag information, shot the price way, way down because people had hope of recovery. Now, to get all this stuff out the way, I just wanted to give a little bit of a backstory so people have an idea on how unpredictable the times are and why we can never have an accurate prediction. It's all debatable. It's all up in the air. It is an educated guess. So, what I see silver's price doing in 2021 is a lot of ups and downs. 2021, I don't see any type of stable pricing. We might see $30, $40 silver. But if it goes higher than that, it won't stay that high. I'm not going to be a silver pumper, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and get your high hopes up trying to misinform you of these crazy, unrealistic silver prices if that's not what I believe. I could be wrong, but if silver is going to hit $60, $70, some say $100 in 2021, I don't think the price would stay there for that long. Why? Because that's way too fast, especially for a market like precious metals. Bitcoin, go for it. I'd probably be wrong. I mean, Bitcoin right now is what? Around $35,000. Bitcoin could easily be $60,000, $70,000 by the end of the year and stay there. But Bitcoin is a completely different market than precious metals. Completely different. Bitcoin is built off of speculation. Precious metals isn't. It's a slower market. It's a hedge against inflation as the dollar declines. Now, I'm not trying to say that Bitcoin's a better investment. I'm not trying to say it's more profitable. It's like the tortoise and the hare. Bitcoin is something you can invest into for quick flips. Use those profits to then reinvest in the precious metals. And that's why I've bridged the gap. I've talked about Bitcoin to my audience. I've talked about gold and silver to my audience. There's actually a crypto that's backed by gold. It's called GSX. I have a link in the description if you want to invest. The point is, though, that there are new alternatives and we are expanding and becoming more innovative in the digital and precious metals world. So with that said, silver's price easily could be higher in the next 3 to 5 years, but the immediate term, I don't think so. And that's a perfect opportunity because in 3 to 5 years, we're going to be wishing we could build a time capsule, go back in time to the days that you could pay $25 for an ounce of silver. And that's with the scenario that I'm talking about. But there always is that unknown variable. If things get more extreme, if the pandemic gets worse, if stimulus collapses the dollar, if there's something else that happens that could blow things way out of left field, then maybe silver could hit $100 this year. And that's the doomsday, catastrophic, apocalyptic mind state that people are coming from when they do call out $100 silver. But that's not from these tinfoil hat type of people. Citibank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, the Silver Institute, all of these people are much bullish on silver than I am in the short term. And that's crazy because banks, they don't view silver as money. Gold, they do. Silver, not so much. Gold is still considered money to banks. That's why banks own a lot of gold, and that's why banks dumped all their silver. Did you actually know that the reason banks hoard money is because that's what depends upon their value? America's only the richest country because we own the most gold. That's the only reason. Not about how much money or fiat money we have. It's literally determined on how much gold they have, how much precious metals they own. So if we can determine a country's wealth from a gold to gold state or a gold to gold perspective, then let's break that down to a person to person perspective. So you're saying that someone could have $100,000 in their bank account, but the man that owns a couple of ounces of gold is actually the wealthier one. And yes, if we're going to look at things from the same perspective as how we determine a country's wealth and how we determine a person's wealth, then yes. But society doesn't want to view it like that. Mainstream media, the banks, don't want you to think that way because they want you to keep your money in the dollar, because if you are invested into the dollar, then they still are in control of you. It's a power move. Once you transfer your money out of fiat currency into precious metals, you've taken the control into your own hands and taken the power away from them. But besides the point, silver right now is going to be affected by a lot of different things. There's going to be a lot of volatility, especially since silver isn't as stable as gold. It's a more exaggerated version of gold. And that's because it's a much smaller market. So numbers that go in, numbers that come out affect it to a much more dramatic pace. Now, imagine someone that comes into silver, that starts investing into silver, let's say in like March, April, May-ish, right? And silver's around $30 at this point. They get in around $30 an ounce. There's a lot of buzz around it because that's around that's around the place that it could take off from that mid-August high last year. And then all of a sudden it shoots back down to like 25. Imagine how scary that would be. Kind of like the people that bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin at $40,000 like last week or a couple weeks ago, and now it's down to like 35,000. They're probably freaking out. But that's a very, very scary spot to be at, because that's when most people panic sell. So if you are someone that got into the market recently and you're seeing a lot of volatility, you gotta remember why you first started investing, and you also have to understand why silver's so valuable. So even if by July, August, September, silver is still around this price, and you're saying, well, it's not moving much, just wait a couple of years. If silver, and there's one more scenario I want to talk about. If you've noticed, over this video, I've gone over several various scenarios that would affect silver's price. Now, these are all theoretical because we don't know what's going to happen, but there is one that could affect silver negatively. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could affect silver negatively. And this is something that's very, very far from reality. And that's why when I talk about Joe Biden coming in office, right, when I talk about the green energy revolution, 5G towers, electric vehicles, all these things, it's going to make silver dramatically higher or more profitable than anything else, even comparing it to gold. I always say this: any situation that happens, silver is going to come out on top. But nobody really thinks about 2021 as being a year of recovery anymore. I mean, the numbers of the virus are still skyrocketed. There's a new mutated virus. We don't even know if the vaccine works. And if the vaccine does work, we have to put out tons and tons and tons of more money to distribute it and pay for it. And that, in return, is going to make us have to print more dollars, which is going to weaken the dollar, which is bullish for precious metals. So it looks like there's a very, very, very good chance that silver is going to come out on top. But what if the vaccine does work? What if the virus does start to get cut back by July, August? I don't think that's realistic, but if that does happen, if the country starts to go in a more of a recovery phase and people have strength and hope in the dollar, that could hurt precious metals. People start selling their precious metals, start selling their Bitcoin even. And that could hurt stocks start strengthening, because we also know stock market volatility is one of the things that's almost correlated to precious metals. That's one scenario that could be bad, but I don't see that being too realistic. And if you do think that's going to happen, then I'll probably invest in the stocks rather than precious metals. But if you're a realist, if you look at the circumstances, apply how those are affected and how those are reflected into precious metals prices, then you should have a good idea on why you're stacking. So anyways, like I said in the beginning of this video, let me know what you think silver's price will be over the next year and explain why. I would love to put a poll video, but YouTube doesn't allow polls on videos anymore. I think it's only for live streams. So that's unfortunate, but I would still love to hear what you guys have to say. Drop your knowledge, drop your insight. A lot of people know a lot more than precious metals, or a lot more about silver than I do. So maybe you could say something that even I could learn from. A lot of people could. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss out. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.